This is The Guardian.
Hello and welcome to The Guardian Football Weekly. If football matches were 82 minutes long, they're not. Why do people say things like this? Liverpool would have no wins this season in 5 games. They've won 3 in injury time. Fortunately for them, football matches are as long as they are. Virgil van Dijk, the hero last night against Atleti. Cue some vintage Diego Simeone. Chelsea lose convincingly in Munich, defensively not at it against Elise, Diaz and Kane. Also today, waves and waves of PSG as they demolish Atalanta. A solid win for Inter and a great comeback from Bodo. A sad injury time for Ange in Swansea. 2 goals in injury time mean they're out of the Carabao Cup. We'll look ahead to the Premier League weekend, answer your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today, Barry Glendenning, hello.
Hi, Max.
Johnny Liew, welcome.
Hello.
And Archie Rhind-Tutt, nice to have you on. First of the season, I think, Archie.
Second, but it's nice seeing you again, too.
Okay. Were you on yesterday, Archie? I'm sleep deprived.
Saw you a few weeks ago, but it's always good to know that I leave a lasting impression.
Football just never stops, Archie. But look, try better this time so I can remember that you're on. Oh yes, we did a Fulham minute. Of course I remember now. Liverpool 3, Atletico Madrid 2. How do we describe how Liverpool, are they getting away with this? Is this just the relentless sign of champions? Or is this just a coincidence? They're winning goals in the 92nd, 95th, 83rd, 100th and 88th minute, sort of going back chronologically this season.
Well, there's a lot going on there. I mean, I think these things become self-replicating after a while because of the mentality that they build. Slot talked about the fitness of the team. And I think that stylistically they are relentless. They don't have they don't seem to drop off. They seem to raise their game and raise their intensity towards the end of games. These all factor into it. I mean, the other point worth making is that Liverpool probably should have had that game wrapped up and sealed long before they needed a winning goal. And if you look at some of these late shows this season, Bournemouth, you could say that they probably should have won that. Burnley, they should have won that quite easily again before injury time. So it's not like they're sort of, with the potential exception of the Newcastle game, they're not really stealing these games. They are creating a weight of chances that you have to sense is going to tell at some point. And also starting games generally pretty well. They haven't been behind at all this season. But yeah, it becomes self-fulfilling after a while. Opposition teams know what you're capable of. The Anfield crowd kind of senses something and they kind of raise their game, they raise their level. It was a totally needless corner. I can't remember who gives it away, but Szoboszlai crosses it in and Bradley is putting the guy under pressure. And that's the corner from which Van Dijk converts it. Sometimes these things just go for you and they align.
I was going to say, that corner from which Van Dijk nods it in, on first glance I was like, hang on, why is that Atleti player marking Van Dijk? He looks way too small for him. Checks notes. That's their centre-back, Robin Le Normand. Bloody hell.
Robin Le Normand, yeah, he's one of my favourites.
Robin Le Normand. And I was like, okay, well, he surely would be a good fit. Except, I checked it, he's 12 kilos lighter than Van Dijk. And you just see this kind of push away as if it's kind of like this sibling, get away from me, you ain't touching me kind of thing. And then I'm thinking, well, surely Alexander Sorloth would have been a better choice to mark him. But yeah, these things in hindsight when Virgil van Dijk goes and heads the winner are easy to say. Or I would point out to Liverpool's slew of recent late goals that they've brought this mentality in from Bayer Leverkusen. This is what Leverkusen were doing 2 seasons ago.
They did,
with Florian Wirtz and Jeremy Frimpong. So they have hit the lottery in terms of the amount of late winning goals that they have been on the pitch for now. I think as a player, you must be lucky if you enjoy this a couple of times. But they're well into double figures now. And like, what a drug that must be that you're just continually hunting down. Albeit, can it go on? And then I see the Mick McCarthy meme of, It can.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better way to win a football match. And then, Barry, from that moment, it's a brilliant header from Van Dijk, isn't it? But then we have the Simeone moment, which is, I think someone put it in the group, filed under scenes you don't want to see, but you do want to see.
Oh, absolutely. You want to see them. He eventually got a red card because, according to him, he'd been being insulted and abused by a fan or some fans behind the dugout throughout the game. Then when Liverpool got the late winner, one imagines the abuse escalated a notch and he reacted, which he conceded he shouldn't have done. But he does have previous, let's say, as a manager and as a player. I would say the Liverpool fan or fans who were giving him loads were probably quite lucky that there was several stewards there to get between Simeone and them. So yeah, he got a red card for that. Yeah, I think it's something and nothing.
Yeah, I mean, he's giving the fans. I watched one video from someone's filming it. You are giving those fans exactly what they wanted. They are going, we did the right thing to yell at him. He said what? Obviously my reaction is not justifiable. I insulted him. It was 90 minutes of being insulted the whole time. Then you turn around when your opponent has scored and they're still insulting you. It's not that easy. The referee understood the situation. I hope that a team like Liverpool can improve that part. That was the nice line.
Good luck with
that.
that.
He said. Yeah, but Liverpool, I think, Barry, in this game, you started to see signs of. And as Johnny's alluded to, they've been pretty good this season. But actually, I thought Wirtz, especially, you started to see him link up with Szoboszlai, and Salah looked better than I think I've seen him. So, they're winning all their games, but they started to click, I thought, a bit last night.
Yeah, they've been winning their games without playing as well as we know they can. They are making these wins more difficult than they need to be. I mean, this 3-2 scoreline really flattered Atletico, I think. Florian Wirtz, people have been sort of looking down their noses and saying, well, he's not all that, is he? Archie's clearly seen far more of him than the rest of us. But he was, I thought, excellent last night. I think he created 4 or 5 chances. He linked up well with Alex Isak. Isak, I thought, was decent while clearly looking off the pace. So that looked like the beginnings of a good relationship there. Salah as well has been the subject of some disparaging remarks. I think people just want Salah to have a bad season because he's due one. And if this is a bad season for him, well, he's doing all right, isn't he? And I can only see him improving. I would be very happy with this performance if I was Arne Slot, even though Liverpool had to leave it so late to win the game and only won 3-2. Because I think their performance was much better than a last-ditch 3-2 win.
What I'd say on Wirtz is that because he doesn't have the ego of most number 10s in that position where they feel like they have to have the ball all the time or they have to make it about themselves in the decisions that they take, he can sometimes go under the radar because the way that he plays and the decisions that he takes are what is the best for the team in this moment. He's capable of dribbling past a few players, but only if the situation calls for it. And I think that, it's one of the things that makes him unique. And whether he continues to play like that at Liverpool is a question, but whether that will be appreciated is going to be a thing. Because also, if you look at the amount of big name attacking talent there in that Liverpool team, there are not enough goals and assists to go around for everybody to get the credit that they're going to want, or indeed that people are going to want for Florian Wirtz to have justified the 100 million plus fee. So I do think there's that. Just one thing on Atleti, they did have a lot of injuries last night going into this. So to be honest, this was actually probably an okay result for them. The fact that they came within a whisker of getting a result at Anfield was remarkable. And the thing that Sid tweeted, which I think is brilliant, because Marcus Llorente scoring another double at Anfield and Sid Lowe, of course. I think there's only one Sid in terms of this podcast.
No, well, actually, Sidney Poitier did a few of the early ones with Jimbo.
Of course, I forgot. He said that Marcus Llorente has a dog called Anfield, which I think is great.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was the famous game just before the original lockdown.
COVID, was it?
COVID.
Oh, right.
They had the Liverpool Athletic game and the Cheltenham Festival, it was sort of widely perceived those events should not have been staged.
People say that game happened just before COVID. I think COVID was very much.
Yes. Yeah, you're probably right. Just on Wirtz, Johnny, he's got this balance, hasn't he? And the ability to sort of take the ball in tight spaces and suddenly have yards of space that were definitely not there when he got the ball.
No, exactly. I think they call it taking it on the half turn, right? Your body is sort of at a 90-degree angle to the ball, and the shape of your body and the first touch allows you to glide it with that first touch into the space that was previously there. Wirtz is very good at that. I mean, I think Isak is very good at that as well. I thought even though he didn't get to the hour, I thought the way he held up the ball and the way he wants to take it in tight spaces and the way that draws defenders towards him, it creates space around him. I think that's a very exciting development for Liverpool. Slot's philosophy this season is certainly his attacking philosophy is to basically flood the box with players. And when when there are 5 or 6 players rushing into the area, it's a terrifying thing, but also it's quite a chaotic thing. And that sort of needs to be worked out. You can train for that kind of thing, but you basically just need to keep doing it in different situations until everyone learns who needs to go where. Salah's goal is a perfect example. When Salah gets that ball in that sort of slightly withdrawn spot on the right wing, he's looking for the diagonal into goal. He is going on that diagonal, and he wants little layoffs. He wants little give and goes. He wants dummies, and you get out of his way. That's the kind of thing that someone like Ekitike or Isak will learn over time. And once it all clicks, I do think there is a huge amount of potential in that attack. Not just the talent, but the way Slot will get them combining. We saw glimpses of that.
Do we think to a level actually where no one will get near them? I mean, not necessarily in the Champions League, but the ceiling is so high for a team that have won all 5 games.
It's how dynamic they are. That Johnny talks about it there with the half turns, and it's just the amount of players there who you would back in one-on-one situations against opponents, not against the goalkeeper, in that I reckon they'd have the confidence to take the ball past them. Dribbling, I believe, is the actual phrase that we use. I think that that's the frightening thing, I think, for many defenders, because there's always this talk of can they break down a low block? And it's like, well, how many of these players just have the ability to go, well, I can dribble past you, or if not, I've probably got the skill to stick it in the top corner. So, yeah, the fact that Hugo Ekitike comes on and is, the striker in reserve on this night tells you about the quality. The one thing I would say, though, that second goal from Mo Salah, I didn't think that Gravenberch actually meant to play the ball through to Salah. I think he kind of mistouches it, and then he just kind of holds his posture and he goes, yeah, no, of course, because the ball kind of gets away from him. But that's the thing, is because it's so fluid and so quick, everything looks like it's meant. And yeah, they are pretty tasty.
Yeah, actually that move where I think they played it out the back, I think Van Dijk did something brilliant as usual, and then Wirtz and Szoboszlai, and it ended up with Salah hitting the post. And you thought, that would have been a beautiful goal, wouldn't it? Barry, unless you were poised to say something, I'm going to move on.
Well, no, just briefly going back to Diego Simeone after the game, when he was sort of apologising for his outburst, he said, "I know I cannot fix society," and I reckon you could probably give it a good go. And if you look at society in its current form, if Diego Simeone for some reason stepped down from Atletico Madrid, I would like to see him go around, this man in black, going to Elon Musk or going to the White House and doing his damnedest to fix society. I think he might do a better job than he thinks.
The Purge. It's like The Purge. Diego Simeone has one night to fix society.
And then when he does, he gets to run down the touchline, grab his crotch.
He runs straight off.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't shake hands with anyone. He just disappears straight down the tunnel. You never see him again.
Bayern 3, Chelsea 1. Probably Chelsea's toughest game in the group stage. It seemed more than fair 3-1, I thought, this, Archie.
I think so. From a Bayern perspective, very encouraging that they were able to dominate for such long periods against what is a good team. The fact that they were able to play the kind of football where I can't remember Ole's around the Allianz Arena for a very long time, where the locals have been that enthused. And I think the star of the show for me was Michael Elise. He has continually stepped up his level ever more increasingly at Bayern since he arrived last summer. And what he was doing to Marc Cucurella kind of reminded me of, how those Turkish ice cream men go, here's your ice cream. Oh, no, I put a little bit on your nose. Just the way he kept on taking the ball away from him. And Cucurella, I did feel a little bit of sympathy for him for how ruthlessly whistled that he continues to be in Germany, when I think people here need to understand he didn't make the decision for the handball against Germany in the Euros, which is what this is all going back to. The fact that he handled the ball and the penalty wasn't given. So because the referee's not there, people in Germany are going like, they take their anger out on Cucurella, and Michael Elise picked up the most popular yellow card seen at Bayern in recent years for a foul on him, and was continually, I think, it was bullying, to be honest. From a Bayern perspective, when they are still missing key players, I know Chelsea can say the same thing, but Jamal Musiala is out with a long-term injury. Alphonso Davies is out with a long-term injury. The fact that they're bringing on their fourth choice right back just after half-time, which is when I thought, things could start to turn towards Chelsea's favour here. And instead, Bayern played some of their most fluid football. And I think that's a really good sign for Vincent Kompany when you're bringing on a player who everyone's written off, apart from you, in Sacha Boey, this is, and the supposed weakest link of your team is playing well. I think that speaks to the strength of your team.
I hadn't written Sacha Boey off, but until 15 seconds ago, I was not totally aware of Sacha Boey's existence, so that may have something to do with it. Like Marc Cucurella, you would put in the easy to boo box, wouldn't you? Like, he's easy to boo. I sort of understand why you might boo him. Without wanting to do this kind of question to you, Barry, Harry Kane is good, isn't he?
He is, Max, yeah. He's now got 10 goals in 6 games this season. He's got 95 in 102 for Bayern. It must be very exciting to see him banging them in as an England, you being an England fan with a World Cup, ahoy. But it's not just his finishing. He spent a lot of last night doing that thing he gets criticised for doing when he's in an England shirt, which is dropping deep, trying to link up play, blah, 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 with runners going past either side of him. So when he does that for England and they lose, he gets criticised for it. But when it works, as it did last night, he's superb. He's just getting better and better. I mean, I still have reservations about Harry Kane, but I thought his performance last night was as near to perfect as you're going to get.
Yeah, only 3 players have scored 20 or more goals for 2 different clubs in the Champions League: Ronaldo, Neymar, and Harry Kane. What did you make of Chelsea, Johnny?
So structurally, I thought there wasn't a huge amount wrong with them. I mean, if Maresca looks back at that, he will say, okay, well, the penalty's a bit soft. Gusto gives the ball away for the 3rd goal, and that's an individual mistake. And the first goal, I think they end up with Joao Pedro defending left back against Elise because of a breakdown of a set piece situation. So I structurally, I don't think there's too much wrong there. We saw the power of Palmer on the break. We saw lots of flashes of real promise for Chelsea when they managed to counter Bayern. So in terms of that, I don't think there's too much wrong. I still think that Chelsea have a little bit of an issue playing through a really good press, and Bayern do have a really good press. I think there is the potential for little mistakes to creep in there. I don't think that's quite locked in. Caicedo gets them out of trouble quite a lot. I think has needed to, but I think I do rate Chelsea. I think they've started the season pretty well, so I don't think there's a huge amount to worry about. Like you said, that is their hardest fixture. I do just want to mention, sorry, before Archie comes in, I do just want to mention that the camera angle at the Allianz is absolute nonsense. I mean that is like. It's really low. It's basically like you're watching it from just behind the dugouts. It's absolute park football. So I wanted to register my dismay at that.
Oh, do you know what's interesting? I hadn't spent enough time thinking about that, because camera angles are, that I can really get, on a high horse about, like, too high or too low.
Well, they should have got on a higher horse. Maybe that would have. Yeah,
that would have helped it if the cameraman, although trickier to be steady on that. Then it would look like ref cam for the whole game if the man doing the wide shot is on a horse. Archie, you wanted to come in on something perhaps more important, but perhaps not.
Just from a Chelsea perspective, worth mentioning that they were very unhappy that Jonathan Tah wasn't sent off in the build-up to Cole Palmer's goal for Chelsea.
That's nonsense. It was a yellow.
I agree with you, Johnny. I saw João Pedro pulling at Jonathan Tah's shirt first, and from what I saw, Tah is trying to wriggle free from him. I say this because Enzo Maresca made a big play of it in his post-match interview, saying that, if there's not blood, then it can't be a red card apparently these days, which I thought was a bit far.
Would be a strange rule, wouldn't it? Producer John made a good point about Cole Palmer scoring that goal, the 89th minute one, that was disallowed. It was a lovely finish. It was a great ball and a lovely finish. But if you are chasing the game, you need to get the ball and not do your novelty celebration. And of all the celebrations, you cannot pick up a ball if you're doing the Cole Palmer. There's no, he's really limiting himself there. That should be reserved for equalising at the very least. It's got to be an equalising goal, that, I think. And that'll do for part one. Part two, we'll do the rest of the Champions League. Welcome to part two of the Guardian Football Weekly. PSG 4, Atalanta 0. Barry, this was sort of ominous. And we talked about Liverpool being ominous, but PSG, it looked like, and I only watched the highlights, it was basically PSG cutting through Atalanta over and over and over again.
Well, now, Max, before we get into the weeds of this one, I have to ask, do you know who the Atalanta manager is?
So it was Gasparini.
Yep, it was.
For about 20 years. Okay.
I can give you a clue.
Yeah.
Their manager is the man who I'm pretty sure you can't remember, who took over from Russell Martin at Southampton last season.
Well, Ivan Juric.
Yes!
Hey.
Well done.
Thanks, I enjoyed the quiz. I'm happy with what I've won.
I'm gutted. I really thought you'd have forgotten Ivan Juric.
Well, he's done well to get that gig, hasn't he? Anyway, as I said, Barry, he didn't do much to stem the PSG tide, did he, Ivan?
No, I'll be honest. Before this game, I thought Atalanta might win. PSG, they're starting to pay the price of having a 1 week off season. I think they've lost a couple of players. Doué, Dembele, Beraldo out injured. I think Doué and Dembele are muscle injuries. Maybe they'd have got muscle injuries anyway. I don't know. But I gave Atalanta a squeak of win in this, and how wrong I was, because it would be charitable to say they were incredibly lucky to win, or to only lose 4-0. As you say, PSG cut through them at will. Nuno Mendes missed a sitter. Korneski, the Atalanta goalkeeper, made some superb saves. But it was just a routine evisceration on Atalanta by PSG. Hugely impressive performance.
Kvaratskhelia goal, Johnny, was totally delightful, wasn't it?
I watched several times, actually. I watched a compilation of Kvaratskhelia's performance, like someone had made a Kvaratskhelia compilation from last night set to classical music.
Classical.
And I watched that several times. I we talked about Elise earlier in the last part. Players like Elise and Lamine and Kvaratskhelia are the players who are currently setting the standard for wing play in Europe. I think that there is a lot of prem-faced. We talk about Palmer, we talk about Saka, Bodo as well, who seems to have totally dropped off. They are not currently operating on a level anywhere near, I think, these players. That is, and Kvaratskhelia, incredible feet, incredible touch, incredible vision, pace. I'm not just doing the Alan Shearer thing where you name attributes, influence, set pieces.
Hair.
I'm just reading off the Football Manager list. Anticipation, injury proneness.
Expected to move abroad at the end of the season. Yeah.
Yes. Good. WNT wanted.
Yeah.
I think he is good, isn't he?
He's excellent. Luis Enrique in a sling because he recently underwent surgery on a collarbone injury after falling off his bike. I wish him well. Inter won 2-0 in Amsterdam against Ajax. 2 corners, 2 headers, 2 goals. Sort of a very League One highlights package from this one, Archie.
It was. Hakan Çalhanoğlu's really good at taking set pieces, as it turns out again. And yeah, this was, I think, an important win for Inter in the context of their season after the way they lost against Juventus at the weekend in what was such a thrilling ride. And also, I think that going into that Champions League final last season, Inter's reputation had grown again so much, and such was the way that they lost to PSG. I think that it was less a defeat, it was more a humiliation. And I think that there is some rebuilding work to be done here for them. I don't know if I'd place Ajax as not an easy place to go, because Ajax are not the team that they were a few seasons ago, but still, this is, I think, a very healthy result. And look, considering that Inter have also had a change of coach in the summer, that they do, I think that the Champions League final showed that they do need to undergo some changes, and some youthfulness needs to be brought in. That, I think, is coming, but yeah, a good start.
There was some good VAR in this game, where was it Thuram was pulling someone's shirt and then they pulled him down and he got a penalty, and Michael Oliver changed his decision. So we should occasionally say it's sometimes good. Great comeback for Bodo Glimt in Prague. They were 2-0 down with 12 minutes left and equalised in the 90th minute. It was some strike that, Johnny, wasn't it, from someone called... what's his
Sondre Brunstad Fett, which
Fett,
does look a little bit like the anagram that you get, the anagram round of a pub quiz, where you have to anagram it into a Sondre Brunstad Fett. Hang on, is that Fenchurch Street on what tube station? No, but we talk about Zidane against Leverkusen in the 2002 final at Hampden Park, and this was basically better. It was better than that.
Better than that? Wow.
It's better than that. Well, it's the 90th minute of the game to equalise when you've been 2-0 down. Yeah. And I'm sorry, I think...
It's not the Champions League final, is it?
I know, but also, he's not Zidane. Like, I think it's cheating. Not cheating. I think Zidane should get should get minus points for having Zidane's talent. I think that's a little bit... It's a little bit unfair on everyone else.
Do you expand that basically there should be like a handicap system in football? So that, your Kvaratskhelia have to be sort of weighed down
in certain categories, right? When you're judging how spectacular or how impressive a goal is, I think the fact that you are not Zidane but doing a Zidane-like goal, and you're Sondre Brunstad Fett or Fenchurch Street, then I think you have to. I think we have to award bonus points for that.
This touches on something that has actually been, beating in my heart for a while. I'm really glad you've brought this up, Johnny, because it still irks me to this day that when Paitim Kasami scored the goal of the century for Fulham away at Crystal Palace, he didn't win goal of the month because Jack Wilshere in Arsenal did something which was quite nice. Like, no, Paitim Kasami's goal will never happen again.
I remember that goal, yeah.
Is that the ball over the top coming from his right and he chests it and then
yes,
it in the
exactly.
Top
Arsenal scored quite a sexy team goal. No.
But it was a good goal. It was a...
But as you can see, I've processed it well.
Producer Joel says that also counts as your That also counts as your Fulham minute, I'm afraid. Olympiacos 0, Pafos 0. I didn't catch this, Barry. Did you catch it?
My notes for this game are in their entirety. Olympiacos should have won. Bruno sent off for second yellow. Pafos bloke, I think he's a Brazilian, and David Luiz plays for Pafos. I did not know that.
And he got injured.
I like when you don't know the position. You just say Pafos bloke. That is, I would go with player to cover my back more than just bloke. But there you go. Look, they've already beaten 3 sides on their way to get to the group stage. It's their first point in Champions League history. So well done to Pafos, playing for an hour with 10 men in Greece. Tonight's games include Newcastle, Barca, and Man City, Napoli. Apologies to these teams for not fitting into the Guardian Football Weekly schedule. But playing on a Thursday night.
I think, Max, they should be apologising to us.
Yes, I agree. Actually, yeah. I completely. UEFA. Perhaps it's UEFA's fault.
We're not doing a Friday pod for these. Like, could we go to 4 pods? Are we like EastEnders? Is there a danger of oversaturation here?
I think that ship has sailed when we went to 3, Johnny. But we did discuss doing a Friday one. It just doesn't quite work with me or Barry's schedule, if we're being honest. But yes, the producer Josh says a Sunday omnibus where we do all the pods again, word for word. Why not? Anyway, we'll talk about those on Monday's pod, which we're recording on Sunday night to suit my schedule. So thanks, everyone. So it'll be out early for you on Monday or late on Sunday. Elsewhere, the Carabao defeat for Benfica proved too much for Bruno Lage, and they've sacked him and are in talks with Jose Mourinho to go into the dugout. Yes, Johnny.
Have you heard there's some talk in Portugal that Benfica might have a cheeky punt at Ruben Amorim for that job?
Oh, really?
And that United, if obviously they don't want to sack him because he's on a huge compensation, but if they waived their compensation, it allows them to get rid of him and allows Amorim a little bit to save face a little bit. He can go back to a big club in Portugal. This is just some of the, a theory that has been put to me. And I don't know, it makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah. Does it sort of feels like everybody would be happy, right?
Right. Exactly. Amorim obviously he doesn't want a sacking on his CV, as much as he seems to be trying to get sacked at points with some of his comments. But also it allows United to kind of, he wanted to go back to Portugal. He's how could we compete with the mighty Benfica?
If Amorim if that did happen, I have no idea who Manchester United would even begin to appoint in his place.
I just looked. Glasner is the favourite, with Southgate second favourite.
Right.
What? That makes sense, kind of. Glasner would make sense because they don't want the ball, and he plays 3-4-2-1.
Surely they want to find some. Surely these players have proved in the last however many months that they really can't play 3-4-2-1. So actually, the last thing you want is someone who plays 3-4-2-1. Or do you think he can do it better than Amorim?
I don't know. Maybe he's just. Maybe Amorim should. Maybe the problem isn't 3-4-2-1. Maybe the problem is that Amorim isn't doing it very well. Maybe the problem is not the idea, but the man. And that once you truly perfect the idea of 3-4-2-1, like in order for true Stalinism to emerge, Stalin had to get out of the way. It was only really Khrushchev who could take Stalin's work and bring it to its full fruition. Maybe Glasner is that Khrushchev.
Possibly the first time Ruben Amorim has been compared to Stalin in how he's dealt with.
I can't believe we've gone from Football Manager to Stalin in 5 minutes. This is sensational.
Now, this is the Guardian Football Weekly.
Is Amorim's a 5-year plan, or was he expected to do it a bit quicker?
That's a good point. Anyway, that'll do for part 2. Part 3 will begin with Nottingham Forest and Ange Postecoglou snatching defeat from the jaws of victory in Swansea. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. I saw in the Carabao Cup last night, one game, Nottingham Forest were 2-0 up, ended up losing 3-2 to Swansea, 2 goals in injury time. I mean, Barry, it is worth the injury time winner is it's doubly spectacular, isn't it, for Swansea?
Yeah, I've only seen the goals from this game, but Swansea bloke cracked one off the post.
Galbraith is goal.
Who scored it?
Cameron Burgess.
Swansea bloke Cameron Burgess.
So Swansea bloke cracks one off the post. Cameron Burgess had more or less turned away, waiting for either the final whistle or play. And then it's almost as if he heard the crack off the post and went, oh, hold on, and turned back and then just rifled home the winner. Brilliant result.
It's such a pure strike. It's such an amazing kick of a football, isn't it? It's like,
and it was so casually done as well. You talk about,
I mean, it's timing,
technique, but it literally just, hold on, boom, and what a way to win a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good for Swansea.
Poor old Ange.
There's something about the way that Josh Timon has seen the ball hit the angle of post and bar there. And you see him in one of the replays with his head, with his hands on his head. And even when Burgess has struck the ball, his hands are still on his head. The ball needs to hit the net to end his disbelief of what has just happened. I cannot think. When have there been two finer, clearer strikes of a ball in succession like that? And I'm sure that was also the thought passing through Ange Postecoglou's head somewhere in the recesses of it, because the other part of him looked to be saying, what did I agree to do again? Why am I here? Which I think is to be honest, a valid question when this is not the job you take after what he'd just done at Spurs.
You don't think so?
No, you don't take over from the best coach Nottingham Forest have had in their recent history.
Since Billy Davis, as we established, unless that was edited out a while back.
The expectations that you're working with when you've just seen extraordinary things achieved with a team which would have done very well even if Nuno had continued to ascend the heights that they had done. I think that, this spoke more of inside Ange going, I'm going to shut a few people up here. I'm going to prove them wrong, rather than taking the right job for him.
I think it matters that his I think his kids are at school in London, and so he didn't want to relocate. He didn't want to move further afield. And when this job came up, I think that's one of the reasons.
That's interesting, and we quite often forget, real life things that are happening to humans, or Nottingham Forest bloke in this situation. I mean, maybe sometimes you can be unlucky, right? Obviously, every time someone hits the post with a great strike and it comes back for a rebound, that rebound is ballooned into Rosette. That is like the law of football. That's where it goes, and then it's 2-2 and it's a penalty shootout. Look, they had made lots and lots of changes. We might as well start our Premier League preview with them. Then they go to Burnley on Saturday. I mean, I don't know where Johnny on the sort of must-win scale for Ange this is.
Yeah, I think he's that defeat last night will have raised a bit of the pressure on him. I think slightly unfairly, because the guy's been in charge for 2 games, and one of them was against Arsenal, who are probably the best team in the country at the moment, and one of them was with a much changed team, and as we talked about, and I think they showed,
it was so beautiful actually,
elements.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, was it their second goal? I think that was proper back to front. When he talked about that, it'll be Wednesday. You'll see, it won't be this huge project. You'll see our style on Wednesday. That's kind of what he meant. Burnley, obviously, a much different kind of prospect, just because of the way that we know that they will defend, the way that we know that they will approach the game, and the fact that Forest will have to make the running. They will be under pressure to break them down, and Burnley will quite happily, as Forest did actually to a lot of teams last season, just say, look, we'll break you down, and we've got players who can counter us. So a different kind of test, and I think that it'll be a good measure of where their development's at. 2
really big games this weekend. The early game on Saturday is the Merseyside Derby, Barry. So in what minute did Liverpool score their winner, do you think? Are you about to say, I think Everton will win? Is that what I wonder?
No, I don't. I don't think Everton will win, but I don't think I'd be massively shocked if they... No, I would be surprised if they did. Everton are a bit odd. They've been getting good results without, I think, playing particularly well. Their first home game at Hill Dickinson, I thought Brighton were much the better team, and Everton still won that game. What was it, the 3-2 against Wolves? I thought they were a little bit lucky. I suppose my judgment is clouded and influenced by the fact that I predicted they'd have a very bad season, and now it's looking like they won't. Jack Grealish has been undeniably excellent for them. I'd imagine he'll cause Liverpool some problems, but it's hard to see past the Liverpool win, really, isn't it?
Sorry. I don't know what's... Two men just walked in. Are you? Is your house... Are they removal men, Johnny? Will you be removed from the house in 1 second?
No, they're decorators. They've just gone into to that room to get their stuff.
Because the way your Zoom is set up, and this may not work for listeners, it does look like a progressive number of people are just walking out of a tiny wardrobe behind you, like a magic trick,
clown car,
like sort of Mary Poppins wardrobe. How many people are in that wardrobe?
That's actually the door,
right,
of the room.
behind that.
But it does look like, because of the
Narnia,
because of the wardrobe in front of it, because of the clothes rack, it does look like they are emerging from the wall.
If we keep going, we'll see a lion and a witch come out.
Mr. Tumnus will finish the podcast. This is great.
Barry's professionalism there was
excellent,
unbelievable.
Yeah. And I probably do what many listeners do. I was listening to his voice, which is soothing, but I didn't hear any of the words.
Well, it nothing of much profundity, I can assure you that. Me just sitting on the fence on Liverpool-Everton.
I checked this out. David Moyes has gone to Anfield 23 times and never won. And just, I wonder whether Jack Grealish could be the figure to turn that tide. I like the idea of him in a Merseyside derby, him embracing that atmosphere. But the thing that stood out for me from an Everton point of view, sadly, is that the only time Everton have won there since 1999 was when no one was there to see it during COVID. And there were no spectators in for that one. And so, yeah, I feel a bit for Everton, and also the way Liverpool are shaping up. It doesn't feel like...
I think Everton will get something. I think the turnaround from Wednesday night to Saturday lunchtime, I know that, they're both at Anfield, but physically, mentally, I think that's a big ask for Liverpool. I think there's a good chance that Everton can hit them.
And actually, interestingly, on that sort of tiredness thing that we sort of tend to ignore once the game kicks off, Arsenal play City, and Arsenal, they're already home from like a comfortable, if tough game in Bilbao. Man City have got to play Napoli on Thursday night. And so how much, Johnny, does that give Arsenal a bit of an edge against City?
No, totally. Because, we've seen we've also seen how physical these games have been in recent years. We've seen sendings off, we've seen crunchy tackles and incredibly intense pressing. I mean, certainly if you think about some of the Arteta Guardiola duels from the last three or four seasons, they have been up there with some of the highest quality. Maybe not the most exciting in terms of goal mouth action, but in terms of two teams that have been set up to almost kind of exhaust the opposition all over the pitch. That is the standard that they have set. So I do think it matters. Obviously, City are playing at home, but Thursday night, I mean, it's different with the Europa League, I think, because the Europa League, I mean, we all know the Europa League is not real football, but a Champions League game on a Thursday night against Napoli, and then going to Arsenal on Sunday. Yeah, I certainly think, given that the kind of the margins at this level of the game, the physical margins, I think that extra couple of days it's a real help to Arteta.
Manchester United, Chelsea, Barry, your thoughts?
I think Chelsea will win. Although weirdly, looking at this weekend's fixtures, I think you could make a case for the fact that there could be 10 draws out of 10 matches. I was trying to do my last man standing earlier this week. I've ended up going for Wolves against Leeds, but
wow,
I could make a case for every single game this weekend being a draw. But watching Manchester United in their current state, and it is a state, I couldn't make a case for them beating anyone, really.
The only case I'd make would be that they've got a full week's training. Although you wonder at this point, as Barry's facial expression says, does that help?
Oh no, it's even worse. When he's reading, Das Kapital to to Patrick Dorgu or whatever, and this isn't helping much. Brighton Spurs, Johnny, what's your take on the all new Thomas Frank Tottenham?
It's been impressive. I don't think it's been quite as impressive as people make out. I think they've been a little bit lucky. I mean, if you look at their XG, in and out, I think they have been outperforming it slightly. And we saw during the you discussed this, you would have discussed this on yesterday's pod, but certainly during the second half of the Villarreal game, we saw a little bit of caution and negativity creep in, which I think is never far from the surface with Spurs. But, I think Brighton away, tough place to go. It's a place where Spurs have actually been humiliated quite a bit in recent times. They went 2-0 up. Was it last season? Lost 3-2. I think they lost really quite heavily, like 3-0 a couple of seasons ago. It's a place that they found really tough because Brighton is a tough system to break down, and they bring angles at you, which unless you are pretty secure and you know what you're doing defensively, they can catch you up very easily. So again, it's a big test of how well Frank has set up that defence and how well he's drilled them.
Huge few days for Fulham, Archie. Brentford at home at the weekend and then Cambridge at home on Tuesday in the Carabao. We're taking 5,000 there. You will never have seen it. It'll be like Galatasaray away for your lot when you see the Cambridge Ultras. Is there a posher football match? Someone said, is there a posher football match ever?
Fair point. I thought of you when Cambridge nearly did what Manchester United couldn't in winning away at Grimsby.
Yeah. We were robbed.
But we're denied there, right? So, look, if Kevin's not playing, then you might have a chance.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he?
But Kevin looks really good. Twinkle toed. He is doing things that I can't remember many wingers at Fulham doing as sensationally. I think he may even eclipse Luis Boamorte in terms of the dribbling that I remember, and albeit that's a very long time ago, and I don't think Luis Boamorte was capable of doing the number of stepovers that Kevin is capable of doing. So there's that.
Brian Ruiz, are you a Brian Ruiz man?
Oh yes.
Man's got an ice cream scoop, but he's not got a dribble. Like he's got an ability to look elegant, and honestly, he it felt like he was kept at the club against his will. I've never seen anybody look more pissed at having scored a 90th minute winner for us.
Didn't you have Berbatov and Ruiz at the same time?
Berbatov, Ruiz, Darren Bent, and Adel Tarapt as a front four. That started for Fulham at some point, which on paper, you're like, oh, those are four good players. In separate teams, if you split them across four different teams,
you can read a Jonathan Wilson piece going, Ruiz and Berbatov aren't going to press, are they? No, that's your issue.
Exactly that. Fulham Brentford, as I will always remind you, is a big deal to both sets of fans involved here. There is hatred of each other. Brentford had the upper hand for a while. I would say that we have the upper hand right now. Harry Wilson is the buzzword from Fulham fans' point of view, and singing about him after the miraculous turnaround that we did last season in injury time to beat Brentford, and then Harry Wilson doing a similar job away at Brentford last season. It should be a spicy Saturday night.
All right. West Ham Palace, Bournemouth, Newcastle, Wolves, Leeds as well. Cover them all on the weekend's pod, Monday's pod on Sunday. Spencer says, hi, Max and Barry. My daughter just got a call up for the women's team and is so nervous. This is the United States Soccer Federation. We listened to your pod during all the painstaking drives to practice and games. It would make her world for a shout out on the pod if it makes sense. Either way, thank you for providing a great soundtrack to us. And from all those relentless but beautiful car rides to practice and games, without you, we'd be listening to Taylor Swift in the car, which arguably would get you up for the game more than our witterings. Keely Schulten, US Soccer Federation Talent ID Center selected, it says, So look, Keely, you are now the best footballer that listens to this podcast. Harrogate goalkeeper may take issue with you. Our apologies. We're now all Keely Shelton fans. Good luck.
So what age group is Keely being called up to?
I don't have that information. I don't.
So Spencer's your textbook soccer dad.
Yeah,
he's driving Keely to practice it in his 4x4
up I-35 to to Philadelphia for the next game. Good luck, Keely. Ryan says, hi Max, Barry and the gang. Big fan of the pod. Proud to say I started listening as soon as the legend of the Soccer AM glory years, Max Rushden, started presenting in 2017. Like everyone. I've hardly missed an episode since. Honestly, I enjoy it most when the panel go off on random tangents. Seb Hutchinson's deep dive into his entire goalkeeping career, a recent highlight. I'm astonished that all stayed in. This is the first I've learned of that. I'm getting married on the 20th of September. And instead of asking Barry for his customary well wishes or ill will, I thought I'd ask for his advice. I'm a big Liverpool fan. When the fixtures came out a few months ago, I realised my vows will be happening at the exact same time as the Merseyside Derby. To make things worse or better, one of my best mates, Dan, also a listener and Liverpool fan, is the celebrant leading the ceremony. The problem, my fiancée Fiona isn't a football fan. I'm pretty sure she won't appreciate me or Dan sneaking a look at live score while I'm meant to be saying, I do. Barry, any words of wisdom on how to handle this massive dilemma? Keep up the great work, Ryan.
Well, it's not so much a dilemma, it's just a rookie error. Textbook case of someone arranging their wedding and not checking the sporting calendar first. I've attended a couple. One was a good friend of mine from Burr, got married on the same day that Ireland had a Rugby World Cup quarter-final against Argentina. A lot of rugby fans in the congregation. So what ended up happening was things were shifted around a little bit, and at one point the wedding just more or less stopped for 2 hours so everyone could watch the rugby match on a big screen. More recently, the championship playoff final this season, one of my mates, Jonathan, big Sunderland fan, season ticket holder, not Jonathan Wilson, a different Jonathan. He couldn't go to that because his brother was getting married on playoff final day. And when his brother told him what day the wedding was on, he immediately went, that's the playoff final, guarantee Sunderland will be in it. And they were. So it's a rookie error, Ryan. You just got to suck it up and you'll find out what the score was after you have exchanged vows. If Fiona turns up.
Yeah, and also like the vows are quite short, aren't they? So if you've got the trouble with the early Saturday weddings is there's no atmosphere, is it? People aren't as up for the vows at 12:30 as they are 3 o'clock, or especially like an evening vows. You know, vows under the lights, they are the best. They're the best ones, aren't they? But if you get your vows done, it's not going to take 45 minutes.
Well, if it's a Catholic mass wedding,
oh, go on forever.
Yeah.
I was at a Catholic wedding in Galway, and halfway through we realised that the canon was called Peter Rabbit. And it was just too much for me that this guy was called Peter Rabbit.
I don't think he was a priest, Max. Isn't canon a Protestant thing or a...
Well, I don't know. I said at the bottom, canon Peter Rabbit, but maybe it was priest. My apologies.
Oh, no, actually, canon is... It's a step up from Monsignor, I think. So I think it's priest, Monsignor, canon. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
The buffet was just carrots.
Oh, yes. He came out of a hutch. You're right, Johnny. And ate a carrot and then delivered this. Anyway, my love to, that couple who were married, and to Ryan and Fiona, of course. And just find out that, just watch the second half. That'll be during the photos. What you do is you say, now it's wife and family, and then do 45 minutes of photos, and then you come back in for your photos. Anyway, that'll do for today, won't it? Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Thank you, Archie.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the men in your wardrobe as well. Football Weekly is produced by Joel Grove. Our executive producer is Phil Maynard.
This is The Guardian.